Raja Mayanda Wanzovesa. Ribada Shabzo Demba, Devaresha, Jiden, Demba, Juvendu, Kalo Yuva, Lada, Melon Yedem. Sanje Jumden, Begawa, Shaja, Chazelo Shodo, Yazo, Jevo, Demba, Jumden, Raja Mayanda Wanzove, Sanje, Ribada Shabzo, Devaresha, Jiden, Juvendu, Lana Meva, Lada, Melon Yedem, Sanje Jumden. Begawa, Shaja, Tuba, Chazelo, Shodo, Yazo. Damba Jumden and the Jensheva, Rajamba Yanda Wanzu, Rivada Shazon Damba, Devaresheva, Jidenju, Given the Vakano, Java, Lana Meva, Lada Mela, Sanje Jumden and Begawa, Shaja, Chazelo Shodo Yazu, Damba Jumden and the Jensheva, Rajamba Yanda Wanzu, Sanje Rivada Shazon, Devaresheva, Jidenjamba, Given the Vakano, Java. Tada Melanje Dama Sanje Jumden de Beja, Shaja Tuba La Chazelo, Shudo Yazu, Kanze Ganye Zoa Jelum Se, Sajen de La Commando, Manage Den de La Jojo, de Zekeva Joma Chaz, Namda Gunga Jodo Susawa, Yishi Jazu Seja Lumbo, Taban Jiden Sona Lamebo, Gombo Shunye Joma Chaz, Senja Demba Chimenda Veje, Sendo Rawa Joma Chaz. The region of Seva Somaje, Yame Kenje Jonacha. Gombodu Jeja Damatum Jemba Doma was Solomon. The Jenja Lacha, the Tabe de Shatawa, giving it. Chedo Telemisho, you were Shingur Jolacha, the Trailer to Labatala Rabdune, Shingatama, the Kedula. The Wajian Mejajan gave up a son of Rangi Simne. Tene Sanje Demba in Karma Ravi Marmeta, you must have children. Melon Loda, Jenda, decision, the Terata, Solomon Dia, Tom Jesse. Covandum, the Genjan Dadu, then God on Nada, Shiva Landu, Siva Solendo, and Jovarisho.
To the teacher, the last one, God, full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no other word. Supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue from the Shakyavan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no other word. Supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfecting knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no other. Supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When a supreme among humans, you are born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With the pure body's form supremely pure, wisdom motion like golden mountain, flame that blazes in the 3 words, we know of the blessed, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 words, and an incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, field of merit with the qualities like a vast ocean. To you, the one gone to dustness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime, pure reality. To that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realization, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the sublime community that in virtue I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, a flammable lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain rank of all seeing, subdue the four thoughts, and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Java Soje Shamama Chanju Pato Tane Jasus Nagin Jeso Jeva Tsonam Je Dola Penche Sanjen Rubish Sanje Java Soje Shamama Chanju Pato Tane Jasus Nagin Jeso Jeva Tsonam Je Dola Penche Sanjen Rubish Sanje Java Soje Shamama Chanju Pato Tane Jasus Nagin Jeso Jeva Tsonam Je Dola Penche Sanjen Rubish.
I go for refuge and enlightenment without Dharma and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing keeping and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing keeping and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Sanje Jamba La Chava Tona Deda Sanje Jumde Deda Dishin Shepan Dajo Mayanda Bazo Sanje Ribat Shazun Dema Deva Shepan Jiden Jamba Jubun Deva Kala Juwa Naname Tada Mena Jendema Sanje Jumde Deda So Dishin Shepan Deda Sona Dabi Judo Gewe Zawa Nama Chume Zoga Sebera Dojima Sona Jetera Najishe Peja Sabana Jeteba Sena Jema Dojo Juyere Madama Tona Midemba Meba Tebe Mewanda Nama Shirab Siji Medo Tona Naga Wambeba Simjinja Doma Chanju Sembanam Jeja Chanju Sembanam Jeja Pabia Kansana Jeja Yangane Debo Kanjeta Duma Jetebe Shebado Bebo Paba Soji Mejo Sona Brata Wanyanya Magujata Vecho Meji Boko Tomba Meban Debata Gama Suda Genjava So me bata da ma reba dunga na ma chuba pumba ta na ma chuba kalo na me de keje na ta ma tuje de ba na ma shi de je ba yo do wa ta na ma chuba se ba le ya chuba chuba le je ba yi she yo do de ba na ma jo ba da da je ba san je jum de de yi she na ne ba ya na de ba na be ne ya na ba ni ja ta na de ba sim ja tam ja na se ba sa la shu ba de an de da ne san je jum de de ju ku chi be ye de ya na ba na ma su ta me she na do ma ge ba ba do ge ba ta ma ge ba 타마게바 되어서 뭐 centr에서 뭐 만들고 연소소 연소 타바 연소 창 양타바 동안 내내바 대주바면 뭐냐와도 대동안의 대여바 개발의 소소를 가지고 좀 내내제가 와서 며칠도 왔는데 와도 뭐냐와죠 조배상도 조배시고 좀밤에 와도 때바유 가지고 대바신을 길래는 레버를 주고 레버시고 정보시고 태보시고 튜버시고 태먼제를 해서 차지를 해서 손아제 배지 신여서 좋아지고 맨날 군도원 집에는 소교가 전부 관계해야 되는 저거 좀 가본 몇 번째 몇 번째 몇 번째 몇 번째 몇 번째 타대 되면 두 번째 시시도 저에서 녀만은 이제 담바다나 차제 yeah page 284 right how a basis right this how a basis for the habitual propensity is presented despite the rejections of foundational consciousness. So I think that's the earlier we reject that mind basis all is something needed for the continuum of the propensity, habitual propensity, and we also reject that obtainment or like a bank loan statement. So the minority school, Satantika school, medieval autonomous schools, so they're all things that karma that is ceased to exist and must be, the seed must be imprinted within the mind basis for all, or
something that remain registered in the kind of, the kind of obtainment according to the Bodhisattva school, or the kind of the bank loan statement, right? Something that has to be, the habitual propensity has to be carried out to the futures, and there must be one carrier. So that's minority school says there's alaya, mind-based form, and then the Bodhisattva school, one of the Bodhisattva schools, like they use the obtainment, non-corrosion, or the bank loan-like statement. So rejecting all of them, and then the question is now in the Prasangika schools, so what is the basis which carries the habitual propensities? So Lama Tsongkapha, I think this is the one of his own comment, how a basis with the habitual propensity is presented despite the rejection of the fundamental consciousness. The questions, one may not accept the fundamental foundation consciousness, but one must nevertheless acknowledge that propensity of the virtue and non-virtues karma can be imprinted, and that through the maturations of these propensities, effect do come into being. So the Lama Tsongkapha says, in the Prasangika school, this school also accept, the propensity of the virtue and non-virtue karma can be imprinted, and that through the maturation of these propensity effect do come into being. So the result may manifest from the propensities. Now the question is, what on what base this propensity of the virtue and non-virtuous karma can be imprinted? For in commentary on the entering the middle ways, it says that beings cling to things, rail owing to true maturation of propensities toward real entities, deposit through the beginningless cyclic existence. So we, in the Prasangika school, they do accept the propensity of the karma can be carried out or carried through many lives, and some of the manifest, consequences may manifest, but still some not manifest, but still carry to the futures. So many similar statements can be found as well, since habitual propensities will be untenable if there is no base for depositing them. The question arises, what is the basis? So Prasangika school, no mind, mind basis all, no the non-corrosions obtainment. So what is the Prasangika school? Except just as those who assert the foundation consciousness take such consciousness which they conceive to be objective support for affliction mind, generating the thought of I am. So Lama Tsongkapha wants to say that the mere I is the one of the basis which carries, and to be the basis of which propensity are imprinted. In the same manner, this tradition of the Chandrakirtis holds that the very object of innate mind that takes the form of thought, I am, to be the basis to be the basis on which propensities are imbued. In that case, one might ask, what is the meaning of the statement in the commentary on the entering in the middle way that mental continuum is the basis of the habitual propensities? So the Chandrakirti commentary says, yes, mental consciousness, mental continuum is the basis for the imprints. So Lama Tsongkapha says, yes, a mental continuum is the basis for the habitual propensity, and the mere I also is the basis for the habitual propensity.
So what is the difference between this mental continuum and the continuum of consciousness, the other school?
I
think so. Some schools believe in this.
Yeah. Medieval autonomous schools, Atlantic school, they also say that mental continuum. And Chandrakirti also says mental continuum is the basis for the habitual propensity. So I think the Sautrantic school, just the statement like mental continuum is the habitual basis for the habitual propensity, and that for them, why the mental continuum has to be carries the habitual propensity is the karma, the ones that cease to exist, that disintegration of the karma is no longer functional. So that's why mental continuum has to carry the propensities. Prasangika school says, yes, mental continuum is the carrier of the propensity, but the disintegration of the karma is functional things. So I think this is one of the very important, logical thinking, disintegration of any kind of virtue and non-virtue karmas are functional things. Therefore, the propensity continues to remain, remain within the continued consciousness. So at Sautrantic school, disintegration of karma is no longer a functional thing. Therefore, mental continuum has to carry propensities. And then additional, Lama Tsongkapha, I think Lama Tsongkapha wanted to say that the mere I is the, it can be the basis for the, propensities, habitual propensity of the virtue and non-virtuous karma. So I think two reasons. Sautrantic school, mind continuum, mental continuum is the carrier of the habitual propensity of the karma and the virtue and the non-virtuous karma, because the karma which has ceased to exist is no longer functional things. Lama Tsongkapha, the Prasangika school says the disintegration of the virtue and non-virtue karma is functional thing. Therefore, propensity remains within the one mental continuum. So, since the mere I is the continuum imputed up on the mind and the consciousness. So now the question is, Lama Tsongkapha, question to Lama Tsongkapha, why do you say the mere I is the basis for the propensities? And then says, and Chandrakirti stated that mental continuum is the basis of the habitual propensities. Why do you say the mere I is also the basis for the habitual propensity. So Lama Tsongkapha says the I, mere I, is imputed upon the mind or the consciousness. So it is, anyway, mental continuum of the mind or the any kind of consciousness which has the influence of the propensity, which means the I, the mere I, also is the basis for, the habitual propensity. Like you say, each tree. So then say each tree has the different fruits. So when there's a forest, there's many different trees, and each tree gives different fruits. But you can say this forest has this kind of fruits, that kind of fruits. So a forest is imputed on each of the trees. So in this way, you can say that the I, mere I is. And then what is the benefit from such assertion? The mere I is the basis for the habitual propensities. So I think this is what Lama Tsongkapha want to say. Noble beings who is totally, their mind totally focused, abided in emptiness for a longer period of time. So there is no consciousness active other than realization emptiness. So there is no continuum of consciousness other than wisdom realizing empty, direct realizing emptiness. So Lama Tsongkapha wants to say that direct realization emptiness has, is not the basis for carrying the propensities. So it is like a fire. So there is no any contaminated, the imprints could not really touch that realizations. So then the propensity still remains, because now this says, Lama Tsongkapha says, the mere I is also the basis of the propensity. So the I is still there, which can, which can contain the propensities.
They're saying that an imputed I, a mere I, can hold propensities.
Now, if you think the mere I cannot hold the propensity, once the basis of the consciousness, which totally, pure and uncontaminated at the time. So then you say, mere I cannot be a basis for the propensity, So then a garden has many flowers, but you can say, garden has the rose flower and some such flowers. So so the why, garden carries, each flower has their own flowers. Rose has their rose flowers and not other flowers. So a garden has all kind of flowers. Similarly, the mere I is the, consists of contaminated and uncontaminated all kind of consciousness. So the mere I can be basis, for the habitual propensities. If that is the case, then there is there's no problem that when the mind, noble being's mind, is totally abiding in emptiness, directly absorbing in the emptiness. So there is no any consciousness active other than wisdom. So still there is, this noble being is not enlightened being, so therefore this noble being has the habitual propensity. So then what is the basis for the noble being's propensities? The active consciousness is pure wisdom, uncontaminated, but I am, that I is they carry on their propensity.
That mere eye is, are we talking about an intrinsic eye?
No.
No. Imputed eye.
But when you're completely enlightened, the mere eye is no longer there.
Enlightened being?
The mere eye is no longer
Enlightened being is mere eye there. Yeah.
there. But propensity is no longer there.
Propensity is no longer there. Because that eye is not possessing any contaminated consciousness. This noble being, for a period of time, maybe there is no space for the propensity to hold on, but this eye is also possessor of the subsequent mind of the meditation, the post meditations, or before the before that the wisdom directly realizes the emptiness. So all consciousness possessed to that mere eye. So tomorrow eye, yesterday eye, yesterday consciousness or tomorrow consciousness. Maybe today's consciousness completely pure and uncontaminated. But this eye also, possess the tomorrow eye. This eye also possess the yesterday eye, yesterday consciousness.
Possesses?
Huh?
So the eye is not able to possess the mere eye.
Huh?
Mere eye cannot possess. Or when it's empty and
Empty of what?
we were just talking about that yesterday, about the 20 emptinesses. So the eye cannot possess the mental consciousness, and the future consciousness exists, but it's hasn't been born yet. I don't know. Can you say it? Say it again. Something.
The wheel of eye, eye of the collection, in the transitory collections. So the 20 grasping eye, grasping, self-grasping, grasping the person. So I'm not identical with body, I'm not different from the body, I do not abide or dwell in the body, I do not possess the body. Possess means I as independent and having possessing the body. Right? So we cannot go against the conventional. Conventionally, yes, I possess the body. This is my body. Right? So conventionally, yes, I can possess. Now here this 20 view of I with the transitory collection of the transitory collections, which means viewing this independent self having possessing the body, having possessing the feeling, having possessing the perceptions and mental formations. That is the misconceptions. So thinking I have body, I possess the body is not the wrong perception. Right? So when you have $100 bill, if someone asks, do you have $5 change? Then you say, not right now, I can make it. Which means because the $100 bill has the potential to $5. So I can make it right now, right? So the noble being who is in a period of time, noble being like, a morning, he may be morning 9 o'clock until evening 5 o'clock in strict meditations, right? So 9 to the 5. So abiding on that emptiness, abiding on the emptiness. So during that time, there is no contaminating consciousness, any kind of contaminated consciousness active. But this person who is meditating, he is still not free from propensity, right? So you can say, oh, he must be enlightened. At the time, there is no propensity. Yes, at the time, there's no propensity, but this person is not free from whole propensity of the virtue and non-virtue karma, which means he possesses the virtues, virtuous karma and non-virtuous karmas, right? That's Lama Tsongkapha's the logic is that, you still have to say that you have the propensities. Maybe at that time you don't have any propensity, but you are not free from propensity. So then, what is that? Why? How do you? What is the reason behind that having this person is not free from propensity? So when he come out from meditations, again he have, the thought. That thought can be, influenced or impacted by the virtuous in propensity, non-virtuous propensity. So that's the Lama Tsongkapha's logic here. But in the commentary in the Chandrakirti, middle way that mental continuum is the basis for the habitual propensities. So now this person is asking Lama Tsongkapha. So this is what Chandrakirti says: the mental continuum is the basis for the habitual propensities. So Lama Tsongkapha replied, since mere I is the continuum imputed upon mind or consciousness, or yesterday consciousness, or tomorrow consciousness, or before this meditation or after the meditations, all, belongs to that person, I. It is referred to as the mental continuum as well. And if we take the mind's own successive state as being referred to as the continuum here, in the sense of type of continuities, these two constitute an intermittent basis for the imbuing habitual propensities. As for the nature, ignorance, habitual propensities, so what is saying? Imbuing, yeah. So, Pajam shadows.
Permeates.
So it's kind of like Renge Pajam Shirgurus, Rindatera. So continuums. So continuum. So continuum can be The mental continuum is the base for the immune, the virtues karma, non-virtues karma, negative and positive, both can be can imbue the or leave the imprints within the continuum. So the entering the middle way says that which percolates mental continuum.
Stimulates.
Simji barbachations, yeah, simji barbachations imbues it. Simji barbachation.
Imbues.
Congress simji barbachation, gorchabas, Jason Drobachab and Pajates. So percolate.
If an idea, feeling, or a piece of information percolates through a group, it gradually spreads.
Yeah. So
Imbues kind of the same thing, influence.
percolates is the Simji barbachations, for example, barbachations. When you have so something like when you're making a dough, the flowers all over your hand, and it can, when you touch things, it percolates, right? It spreads, and spread is not like it. Spread is not like that. It's something. It's clean by touching your hand. It makes dirty. That's percolates, right? And then imbuing is gorchava means, gorchava means like when you have one one apple, one single apple, and you cut many things, many pieces, then you spread. So that is imbuing, yeah. So gorchavas.
Does the Tibetan word for percolate there has a meaning of making it dirty in there?
Yes. Yeah. Bagravachavas. Yeah. Bagravachavas means, yeah.
Like we percolate coffee. That's how most of us understand percolate.
Mm-hmm. Percolate coffee?
Coffee, yeah. The old way, you put a pan of water and you put a filter, pour the water through. Here it talks about to pass something through a porous substance. So it's a little different than how you express. So your percolate means to contaminate when you touch.
Yeah. So also you can also bagravachavas means if you when you go a step on muddy muddy place, you go a step, and all things that touch on your feet. So that's the bagravachavas. So gorchava means you just live there. You just share, like a machine that makes things and then put it in each container, right? So chips machines, they cut the piece and then put it in the small packages. So they gorge shares each and everything. Yeah. So like when we talk with emotions, so we are leaving the imprints there. So I talk about apple today, and after that I talk about something else. So out of attachment, anger, jealousies, we leave the footprints in the continuum of consciousness. That is the imbuing. Yeah. The percolates means because of too much imbuing, right? Your mind is now blurred, not clear about the reality. So only thing that you see is projections. So that's how your mind got percolated. So percolates, so which that's a different meaning, So imbues it and make it follow, make it, how's that? Make it follow is, and make it follow means now, because of you have so much, shows, so many times you have shows angry or disliking about something, right? And then next day or the different places or with different friends or different, so when you go, anytime you have this kind of object, you always choose disliking. So that follows. So people who have always sense of strong discriminations. So in his country, he discriminated. When you go to another country, you also find a way to discriminate, right? So this to make it follow, because the percolate and imbuing, so mind follows the previous footstep. So which means mind is repeating history. So that is called habitual propensities. So now definition of the habitual propensities is from, from the three qualities: percolate, imbues, and follows. So that's called habitual propensities. The final base of the afflictions, their habit, their root, So another commentary that says the final base of the afflictions, habit and their root. So I think this is in Tibetan it's Nyomo Murtubas. So this was the Lama Tsongkapha's the essence of eloquence explained that Nyomo Murtuba means Nyomo Murtuba. Nyomo is afflictions, right? So something that afflicts you, right? Something that afflicts you, something that I think that again and again that confuses you. By confusing, that cause the afflicting on you. So that repeating of that is called propensities, and then that is also called habit. That is also called root, right? So your mind is, your mind's acting because of this root, from this habit, from that confusions, from that repeating confusions, from that repeating inflictings, So
this is always negative or positive?
So this can be positive too, and the faith, devotions. This is also part of that habitual. But faith is also devotions without understanding of the reality is also repeating. So you just stuck with you are heading on, you are charging on gold door or the iron door. So devotion is heading on gold door. But still it afflicts on you. Because of your devotion, so you have strong disliking on other traditions. cultures behave. So something that repeatedly charging, strong habit, strong root. So then you follow that root, that habit, that and the how's the history of that, or that's called propensities. So now Arhat, who is totally free from all the the afflictive emotions, they still have the habitual propensity from the, not the emotional habitual of the negative emotions. They don't have this habitual negative emotions. They don't have root of any negative emotions, but they have the habitual propensity because of the stain that remains, the stain of the afflictive emotions. So, and then Lama Tsongkapha, Essence Eloquence, set the example. So he said, even Arhat has the habit of, mumbling, So, so, and if the Arhat is young, youth, they also have they like jumping, climbings. So this kind of have physical expressions that is from the habitual propensities of the stain of the afflictive emotions. So in Vinayas, Buddha says the monk should be, when they walk, like elephant. Elephant do not, how say, what do you call that? Elephant, they don't look like turn, like very 90 degrees turning. They don't do that, right? So dogs, they can do their do's. And deers, their do's. Elephant always look front, and then they understand what is happening around there. So which means they should not be too much staring and right and left, and then jumping around. So sometimes Arhat do that. They violate small monastic vows. So these are due to the propensity that is rooted into the stain of the afflictive emotions. So the seed here, the different, differentiating between the negative emotion, seed of the afflictive emotions, and habit of the afflictive emotions. Two things. If you're free from the seed of the afflictive emotions, but still there is habitual propensity of the afflictive emotions. So I think you will see this is when you when you crush the garlic, and then you take all the garlic out and just wash it. And if you that the things that you have crushed the garlic on, if you put on your clothes, you can smell garlic. So that's even though there is no seed, right, but still the propensity is there. So this is the during the Buddhas, there's one of the great Arhat. I think the Papa Katayana is the great Arhat. So he's from the royal family, So Katayana in the monastery, in every 15 of the month, 15 of the month, monastery, the monks they gather for confessions. So one time, maybe 2 times, 3 times, they call Katayana to come, and he did not come. So monks thinks this is the rule, is the monastery rules. They have to gather everybody at the confession time. So the Katayana did not come for several times. So they complained to Buddha, and Buddha said another rules. So if you're in that monasteries, when the monks gathering for confessions, if you're not joining there, and you violate the monastic vows. Mm-hmm. So particular for the Katayana, so Buddha said another rules there. So Katayana is free from afflictive emotion. He's the arhat, but he can still do that, like against the monastic vows, monastic rules. So that which percolates, right? Percolates, and mental continuum imbues it. So you see, Bhagavad-chava, Gaura-chava, Jesu doors. So this is the very detailed kind of defining the habitual propensity, the final base of the afflictions. The final base, the Nyomuba Murtuba means it's not a final base. And then habit and the root and their habitual propensities. These are synonymous. Even Sharvaka and the Pratika Buddha, who have already eliminated the afflictive emotions through their uncontaminated path, do not eliminate them. So it means the propensities could not be eliminated, even the arhat. So there are, like, for example, when one has already removed, sesame oil or the fragrance of flowers, one can still sense their subtle trace in the vase or the piece of cloth that come into contact with them. So a subtle trace is still there. One should extend this point about how there are these two types of bases to other habitual propensity as well. One should extend point about these are the two types of bases, virtue and non-virtue habitual propensity as well, such as those of the virtue and non-virtues. In that case, one might wonder, at the time of uninterrupted, the phase of the path of seeing. So when you are in that, that kind of uninterrupted pace of the meditation, path of seeing, although it is true that object eliminated by the path of seeing is normal, the latent dispositions of the object eliminated by the path of meditation still persist. So this is Lama Tsongkapha's reasoning. When noble beings who are on the path of seeing not yet, reach the path of meditation. So path of seeing, he has eliminated his own negation element, but still, the the afflictive emotions which are active in the path of meditation still persist. So nonetheless, the mental consciousness is that space remains uncontaminated, unsoiled by the habitual propensities towards the delusory dualistic perceptions. Thus, it would be incorrect to maintain that latent dispositions resides within such a mind. That's what Lama was saying now. The very consciousness that actively, engaging and abiding in that emptiness is not the basis for any habitual propensities. This is like a big fire, the pure fire, So thus it would be incorrect to maintain that latent propensities reside within such mind. Sensory consciousness cannot be served as the basis for these propensities, nor can the physical body be such a basis. Since you do not accept the foundation consciousness, there is then no basis for these dispositions. This is why I'm saying mere I is the basis for the propensity. So that's the Lama Tsongkapha's, But when you read Chandrakirti's context, so Chandrakirti says the propensities remain within the mental continuum. So now maybe there's not raised any questions about like this, like how about Bodhisattvas or any noble being who are on the path of seeing, directly, actively abiding in emptiness. That realization is a direct realization. And so the propensity of that, propensity of the virtue and non-virtues karma, so could really, reside within that wisdom, right? If not, what kind of continuum at that time, right? So that can they can be the basis of propensity of the negative karma and the positive karma. So this is
Can you say that the mind absorbed in emptiness is not part of continuum?
Yeah, it is continuum. Yeah, it is continuum. But we say, continuum, the positive consciousness is the positive consciousness or negative consciousness. Just mental continuum in generally is the carrier. But you cannot say this very active mental consciousness become, in a form of great compassion. Is this the one that carry the propensity of negative karma? And then it's very difficult. So just talking about the continuum is every piece, all kind of chained together is called continuum. So not talking about one particular, time of the consciousness.
Guess you know the two types of basis. He talked about an uninterrupted phase. So would that be the continuum that he's uninterrupted phase in the text of the path of seeing? My question is, I guess, could you tell a little more about what the two types of bases are? It's in the one should extend this point about how there are two types of bases to other habitual propensities.
Two types of propensities, two types of basis to their habitual propensity as well, such as those of the virtue and non-virtues.
So those is what it's referred
Yeah.
as two types. Okay.
The virtues, propensity of the virtues karma, propensity of the non-virtues karma. Now we are trying to, so this is pretty much like, we say, oh, the mental continuum is the basis for all kind of karma, has imprinted or carry mental continuum. So then we say, oh, mental continuum means there's many things. Each mental consciousness is the responsible to basis for non-virtuous karma's basis. That is maybe not easy to accept that. When you generate the great compassion towards all sentient beings, without exceptions, then you say this has a basis of non-virtuous karma. This is totally the antidote for the non-virtuous karma. But this is still the count of that continuum. So when you continue, when you single out one particular consciousness, is this the basis for the virtues, virtue, non-virtue propensity or not? So then it's very difficult to say. Generally, it's the continuum. You say, yeah. So, for example, if somebody says he has a very bad habit of angry all the time, so when he's happy, he's had, when he happy consciousness, is it still considered is the angry habit? It's not an angry habit, but he has, when that happy moment is gone, and right after that, maybe he's get angry, right? So if you're trying to find, objective basis for the propensities, and then it's hard to find. So that's why Lama Tsongkapha says. So within the consciousness, each consciousness, if you try to, single out one particular consciousness, one piece of the consciousness, and hard to tell it carries the negative propensity or the positive propensities. And then, it's hard to tell with one particular consciousness. So therefore, when the noble beings who are on that meditative equipoise, that particular meditative consciousness is hard to say. This is the basis of the non-virtue and virtuous propensities, the basis. Right. So then the question is, if this meditative equipoise is not the basis of propensity, so which means this particular noble being Is it free from propensity? We say no. It's not free from propensity. So when you write after the meditations, when you start talking, when you start engaging in the conventional activities, so there is habitual propensities. And again, that says, when the noble beings are in the meditative equipoise, so they could not see simultaneously conventional reality. While they are in emptiness, so only emptiness, no conventional reality can be conceived or can be perceived by that mind. So what is the obstacle that is obscuring to that mind, only seeing the emptiness, not the conventional reality? Buddha, while in that single pointed meditations, omniscient can be, and perceived both conventional simultaneously. So why these noble beings? So again, because of the propensity. But because this mind is not free from the propensity of the virtue and non-virtuous karma. So if the mind is particularly the noble being's mind is free from propensity of the virtue and non-virtuous, which means is complete and totally pure in the bliss. So which means it's this omniscient mind. So only the omniscient, Buddha's mind, because of the mind is free from, not only afflictive emotions, even the propensity is totally clean and clear out, right, clear away. So Buddha, while in the single pointed meditative emptiness, it also, engaged on the conventional reality. Because there is no time any time Buddha is not meditating. While he's talking, while he's teaching, eating, walking. So his mind is totally inseparable from that realization emptiness, but still can engage in conventional reality. So that means the Buddha's mind is free from the propensity. But you still can say is that path of meditation still, nonetheless, the mental continuum, mental consciousness in that phase remain uncontaminated, unsoiled by the habitual propensities towards delusory, dualistic perceptions, which means it is not, influenced in any conventional perceptions, unsoiled by the habitual propensity towards the delusory, dualistic perceptions. Thus, it would be incorrect to maintain that latent dispositions reside within such mind. So that very mind in the state of meditative equipoise is, you cannot say it's free from the propensity. At the same time, you cannot say this is, base of the propensity, because it is untouched, unsoiled by the propensity. Nor can be physical body and conditions. Replies, there is no such problems at the time. At that time, the mere I serve as the basis for the latent dispositions of the factors to be eliminated by path of meditations. One should extend this understanding to other objects of eliminations and their corresponding antidotes as well. Corresponding, maybe you can maybe say that great compassions, active great compassions, is untouched, unsoiled by propensity of the anger, but that great compassion is not necessarily free from the propensity of the anger. So the propensity is something as defines in these commentaries, like it takes as a root and habit and uh, something that very powerful potential remain in a powerful potential, so it can be manifest with any conditions. So yeah, extends if one understands the unique way this systems of Chandrakirtis defines the nature of person, arguments such as the following pose no problems. Right? No problems. These include when uncontaminated state of mind manifests in the mental continuum of Aryas born in the first three formless state. So it's infinite space, infinite consciousness, and nothingness. So their very state as a person's would come to an end because no mundane level of mind are present. Similarly, one might, so like, this is saying that like when the human being, the desire beings, desire runs human being in the state of total meditations, right? There is no any human activities. There's no physical, the verbal, even the mental states are all pure state of wisdom, no human consciousness. So does that mean he has no any how say basis to be to become the human being, like so when the uh, Yeah, sometimes people, yeah, so sometimes when you see the tigers, they, for the food, they eat everything, right? But almost like when you look at the way the tiger eats and they attack animals, it looks like he has no compassion at all. But he, in the one aspect, when he related to his child, so there's shows so much affections. But that because of this, the how's that wrathful or the harmful activities, so that's is one aspect. But with relation to his children, see, he's in another aspect, more compassion, more tolerance, right? So it's similar, like when this ordinary, this noble being is as sentient beings, not a Buddha. So when he totally single-pointedly meditated on emptiness, there is no basis for him to be defined, from the basis. Any defining that is not an enlightened being, it's because there is no habit or there is no any activity that could define his sentient beings. But right after that, meditations. So when he engaged in the post meditations, so then that shows, he say, "Oh, I don't know that. I didn't do not that. I don't like that." Right. So then there is defining characteristics. So that proves that he is not the Buddha. Right. So this is what kind of saying that when the sometimes people, when they see someone acting in very crazy, and even the family and the friends is, I don't know that person. I don't know that person. So they don't expect this man will do things, right? So while he is in that, it's almost there is no basis, for the clue of any him and that person. But when he, how say, the anger passes, then he will come back to his back to his his form, his his state. So then people can relate. So this is like that. In that period of time, the meditations, there is no any basis that carries the propensity in the mental continuum. But that does not mean that mental continuum is free from the propensity. Yeah, sometimes people, you know, uh, you know, uh, one maybe the person who is very wealthy, and he got accident, he lost his whole memory, so he thought he has nothing, he's so he maybe go and beg people, right? And then suddenly someone remind, oh, you are that, that person, you have this bank account, then you want to say, oh, so so this is like, for a short time, it can be, the possible without unsoiled, untouched by any propensity. But so, when you pass that moment, and then again, you are caught up in that propensities. You know. So this is like, rubber band. When you how say, when you pull, you stretch it. Oh, it's very long, you know. So when you when you release it, and then you say, oh, not that long, it's very too short. so that kind, you know, so you see, you know. So I have bought this the how's that? The pipe, water for the water faucet, or
Oh, like the nozzle, the
Yeah.
sprayer.
the whole
Oh, the wand.
pipe.
Is it
Huh?
a wand on a hose.
water hose.
It's
So
like
the roof, yeah.
a wand.
Yeah, there's a short, but when the water, you know, once water goes through the pipe, it becomes very long, you know. So
Oh, you're talking about the what do they call flexible hose or something.
Yeah. Flexible hose.
Yeah, where it gets bigger as
Yeah.
you put the water.
So in this, like, you know, this noble beings, while he is in that state of meditations, and there is no any how's that base for you know, propensity of the negative and the virtue and non-virtues, because any active mind in that state is unsoiled by the propensity of the karma. So, but still, you know, that the person is not free from the propensities. So Lama Tsongkapha says, that's, I'm going to say, you know, the mere I is the continuum, you know, hold the past and the future of that person. So the mere I can be basis for the propensity. If you really want to know at that time, you want to know there must be basis for the propensity. So now I will give you this I. so, so the formless realm is one who is in the formless realm, like infinite space, infinite consciousness, nothingness. Their very status as a person would come to an end because no mundane level of mind are present. So, you know, Arya beings who are in that formless realm, right? And they are meditating on uncontaminated state of the wisdom. So then they have no mundane consciousness at the time. So there's no any basis to identify this is the, you know, ordinary being. Right? So when the person releases that state of meditations, and then he is become ordinary beings. So these are the words there. Here is used the object of eliminations and their corresponding antidote as well. So corresponding, I use the water hose. Or the persons, right? The compassionate person, very positive person, but you know, sometimes there's you know, he's really become, you know, wrathful, you know. So yeah, a level of mind are present. Similarly, the one might object when within the mental continuum of an Arya born in higher formless state, the peak of existence arises, uncontaminated state of mind belonging to the second highest formless state as state nothingness. So this is also possible, So these Arya beings, these noble beings in the peak of existence realm, like the formless realm, the peak of existence, he is in the realm of peak of existence. But when he meditate, he can use lower realm, like nothingness, the consciousness, used to meditate on emptiness. So now they say, Lama Tsongkapha says, this is the person belongs to the peak of existence, the realm of the peak of existence. Now his consciousness is the realm of, nothingness. So, and what he is meditating is in emptiness. So there is no any level that you can use as a basis to identify this is the peak of, person belongs to the peak realm of the peak of existence. Like you are a human being, you are using the form realm's consciousness. Your mind is form realm consciousness, and you are meditating on emptiness. So from the emptiness, cannot define you as a human being, but the state of mind is also not the human being. But now you only can say, so his physical is the basis to identify as human being. So almost like there is you can have sometime there is no basis at that time to define anything, but when it remain to normal state, when you come back to the normal state, then there is some sign or some basis to identify that person's. So generally we can identify this is human being, this is former, this is, but every time there is no need any kind of fixed basis to identify anything. So nowadays you can also say the man with female's mind, right? Females with man's mind. So formless nothingness, the being of the both peak of existence as well as the nothingness would come to cease. So their uncontaminated mind cannot serve as the basis for the identities of two beings as well as serve as the basis of identity of the person who has attained nirvana. So when you are, when you meditating, use the consciousness to meditate is the form realm, and you are a human being, desire realm. So you're using the consciousness, the form realm consciousness, and then you meditate on emptiness, and you attain arhat. So then you say, from the consciousness, the form realm consciousness, through the form realm consciousness, you attain arhat. But yourself is human being, desire. Yeah, this reminds me, during the in India there. What is it called? Money denomination or something. The government announced that 500 bills is no longer accepted. So what do you call it? Denomination, right? So the 500 rupees is always worthy, right? 500 rupees and 1,000 rupees. So once night, the prime minister announced, so tomorrow, so there is no basis to identify this is the money, just a paper. So what happened? If the paper is carrying the identity of the how's that? The value. The value. If the paper is carrying the value, so why the morning, the night, the prime minister announced why the morning has become, is no value at all. So you cannot buy one cup of chai for the 1,000 rupees. So the propensity is the value, the propensity, the identity is very kind of what do you call it? It's a mental construct. Identity is the mental concept, mental projections. If the identity is by the physically, substantially, then how many times the prime minister says this is no longer accepted for 500 rupees, and maybe he has to give up his money, but everybody use the same, right? Because the value is from the substantial. I heard that after the denominations, some people deposit 10,000, 5,000 cash in other account, other people's account. So yeah, that's kind of the basis with identify the person who has attained nirvana. The reason such argument pose no threat to Chandrakirti's view is because, according to the Chandrakirti, one can, legitimately, right, define a person even without possessing either of two, contaminated or uncontaminated mind. So maybe this is kind of like this, from this reasoning, from this finding, we can also we can throw the argument towards the medieval autonomous schools, and the Sotandika school. Sotandika school, this is the person itself is, identified through the continuum of consciousness. Mental consciousness, mental continuum is the basis for this I. So mental continuum is the illustration of I. So if the mental continuum is the illustration I, then say, so if the person's mind is actively manifest as a formrams mental consciousness, so if the person is become human being, the person is human being, so the human being has to find within the formrams the consciousness. Formram consciousness has to be, the illustration of formrams being, right? Human consciousness is the basis for the human being. So if the human being, actively, meditating or actively, manifests as a formrams consciousness, so then there is no illustration of human being. Reason arguments, Chandrakirti is contaminated or uncontaminated to constitute the person's identity, right? Legitimately define a person's even without presenting either of two contaminated or uncontaminated mind to constitute the person's identity. The opponent's standpoint, on the other hand, assume that the nature of the persons, those who have not yet entered a path, and those on the learner stage. The first four of the five paths belongs to the class of the phenomena that is natural and neutral and non-defining. As for the persons offered above, how can someone like me speak of independently on the masters related to this great system of thought? So why do you so I have spoken on these issues. However, on this basis, tradition of the great charioteers who knew how to present the thought of this Savior Nagarjuna's exactly as it is, and in its entirety, judging from this response, it appears that remaining arguments aiming to prove the existence of the foundation of consciousness would also pose no problem to this system of Chandrakirtis. Anyway, this whole intelligence is great, refined and sharp should, inquiry further. I cannot.
Yes, the direct realization of emptiness is equal to state of formless consciousness?
No. So when you meditate in emptiness, you can first actively manifest form realm consciousness or the formless realm consciousness, or like the desire realms human consciousness. So the human consciousness is saying that it is not really stable. The human consciousness, human mental consciousness is, not very stable. So when you meditate on emptiness with humanly meditating, so this cannot be turned into shamatha. So in order for to kind of in the deep state of meditations, you have to actively manifest the form realms consciousness, right? Form realms consciousness or the formless realms consciousness. So with that, meditate in emptiness and much stable and more more stable in that. So then the question is, how do you define human consciousness, form realm consciousness, formless realm consciousness? So then form realm consciousness is you deliberately apply the antidote to suppress or reduce the human desire. You just reduce them, almost like make them disappear through the meditations. Then after the human desire has reduced and inactive, then there is another state of, meditations, single-pointed kind of mental state of, the consciousness which arises from the disappearance of the human desire. So that's called form realm. So that consciousness has the can engage like a sound and smell and taste like that. So that means consciousness has the familiar with sound, smell, taste is the form realm. And then again you use the meditations to overcome the desire on form, sound, smell, taste. So by reducing them and disappearing them, and then another state of consciousness comes. So that's called formless realm. So then within the formless realm, there's the limitless space, limitless consciousness, the levels. So the human consciousness is still kind of, there's so much influence of the sound, smell, taste, like that. So that human consciousness, like, it's almost like it can easily overpower by imagination of form. It can easily overpowered by, overpowerment, distract or disturb by imagination of the form and the hearing, the sound, the smell, the taste, like that. So that's the human consciousness. So overcoming the desire of that, is now you kind of you move on to another level of consciousness that still have the contact of the sound, smell, taste, but not desire. So it's a form realm, they call. So noble beings who in the path of seeing always use the form realm consciousness, not the human consciousness. So now the characteristic that defines human being is also sometimes difficult. when now these times we have many robots. They can talk like a human being, they can think, they can listen, right? Or you have to say there's no flesh. Then you have to say, oh, is the flesh is the reason that you're a human being? So it's, the flesh and the bones are, defining human beings. That you can find in dog and other animals. Yeah. Any questions? I think the idea is, first, what really, so like, for example, we said all the negative emotions are advantageously arising, advantageously, uncertainty, or without any, when you get angry, we don't plan to get angry, right? When you get jealous, we don't plan to get jealous. So it just, something that is pops in your mind. So then this is, this whole, rooted into the habit. So the habit. So the habit, it seems like there's a two kind of habit. One's as a seed, as a potential, like a dormant state, remain in dormant state. It's not active yet. So that is also it can be known as a habit. And another habit is, more deeper than that, as a just possibility. There is almost like when you, when you see the water flooding, the river flooding. So this year, that river kind of creates the line. So that allows the next river to go in that direction. So that kind of, there's a, the lines that printed there. So although it's not really is a seed, it is not manifesting to flood, but it gives you, if there is another water comes, it allows you to go on that way. So that one as a seed is, like barley seed to manifest barley sprout. One is kind of more profound, more settled in there. So here talking about two kind of propensities. The propensities so as the commentary mentioned, percolates. The percolates and the imbues is more, I think this is in the level of like a seed, the milk to the yogurt, seed to the sprout. So that's more like percolate is like more like seed. So then another is imbues and follows, like it follows. So then there's the river kind of, how to say, yeah, there's a lines that create by the river. Embankment.
Mm-hmm. It's like the highest, where it's the cutoff of the land where the river flows.
Yeah, so it's kind of there's a kind of residue of the prints there. So right now there is no water at all, no danger of getting flood. But next year, the summer, again water flows. So then there is water to go on that place. There is a tend to go on that directions. So that is the the propensity. It follows like that. Even that kind of tendencies can be found, can be seen even in arhat. So if you do that way, and he will say this, the percolate is more like, it is, right now it's manifesting, Bhavachavas, So, so these propensities, now the question is, sometimes it can be unseen, sometimes, and there is no any clue of that still remains. That does not mean it has eliminated or disappears. So that means, when the noble beings who are in that state of meditation, the deep in meditations, so at that time it's almost like there is no any sign, any clue of this person is not enlightened. Right? So there is no basis to identify it, because there is no any propensity could left to see there. Right? The propensity is, there is nothing. That does not mean the propensity is not at all at the time. So then the reason, what is the reason that we can, how can we understand this person is, this state of mind is not free from the propensity? So then, right, after the meditative, the post meditations, then we can see the sign. He has still carried the propensities, right? So I think, so if you really want to know at the time of the person is in the meditations, if you really want to know, there must be something that could use as a basis of propensity. Then Lama Tsongkapha says, I am, that you can understand. I will give you that. So, are you happy now? So in this way, you can use that applying in many ways, like, as I mentioned, like the value of the monies, and then the human being, right? Human being using form realms consciousness to meditate in emptiness, attain the nirvana. But still, we say this human being has attained nirvana. We don't say there is a form realm man is attaining the nirvana. But the consciousness level is all the form realm's consciousness. There is no human consciousness. So still, so there is something that mere I can be used as a basis. Right? So I think whole proving that every identity is not intrinsic. Right? Identities are not intrinsic, inherent in their basis. There's nothing, any identity is defined through the basis. So with basis, we can identify it, like, so I am going, I'm coming, I'm sitting. That identity of the I being identified as going and coming with the body, but the body is not identifying the self. Yeah, okay. No questions? Chanju semjo rinpoche, ma jeba na gejuji, geba nyamba, meba ya, kone kondo pewa. Tonye tawa rinpoche, ma jeba na gejuji, geba nyamba, meba, kone kondo pewa. Pama semje tamje, dedan denjuji, nyendro tamje tato tongwa na, chanju semba, kanda sushu. Tata kunje molong jogiruji, karera rego bishi, pendan dewa ma lunjongwa ne, chere semwa tinze jasi, shabe site bado denjuruji.
May the precious body mind not yet long arise in the world. May the bone have no decline but increase forevermore. May the precious mind realizing emptiness not yet long arise in the world. May the bone have no decline but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all father and mother sentient beings have all happiness, and may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by Snow Mountain, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. O powerful Trinity containing Gyatso, remain in this world until samsara ends.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Julila.